Hi, my name is Amy. Thank you very much for watching, and let's make some bad financial decisions together. So if this was a regular finance YouTuber's channel, you would be looking at this pie chart and thinking, oh hey, this is someone that has a properly diversified portfolio, and they're definitely about to give me some reasonable recommendations for what I should do for my portfolio. And if you think that's what's about to happen, you have not been paying attention. So let's start off with saying this is not financial advice. This is things I have done and my opinions, but none of this should be construed as any kind of education or financial advice for anybody else. So let's look at my portfolio at the moment and what my version of diversification is. So 44.8%, almost 45% of my portfolio is in Bitcoin ETFs. And then 33.6% is in Nvidia, 19.3% is in actual things that are indexed or at least quasi-indexed, and then 2.54% is in Amazon. AMZY Army, right? So, I actually have no regrets. This has been treating me very well in my brokerage account, and I have no problems with this for me at my risk tolerance. But in one of my previous videos, I was asked this from Decon 3994. And basically, the question was, if I had to choose between Nvidia and MSTY, I could only choose one, which one would I choose and why? Okay, so I'm actually pretty happy that they are in different groups. So this is hypothetical and theoretical only because I do like Nvidia and MSTY a lot. But I would hands down choose Bitcoin. And that's mostly because I have more background in education and context with Bitcoin. For me, Bitcoin isn't even all that risky. I have faith that it's basically a spicy S&P 500 where it's always going to exist. It'll always trend up over time. And I just have faith in it. Nvidia, on the other hand, because when I first got into Yieldmax, I actually didn't know what MicroStrategies was, and I didn't know what Nvidia was really. But Nvidia, I was more leery of because it's been on such a tear, and now people are hyped about it. And once it's hyped and it's popular and people are pumped about it, that's not the time to get into these type of things. Because then you buy at the top, and then you're angry that it's, you've lost a lot of money, and it might take years for it to recover, and it might not ever recover to the all-time high. I don't know the future. You don't know the future. But I had to do more research into Nvidia because I am not interested in buying high. So what I found because Nvidia is a part of the semiconductor industry. And the semiconductor industry has a cycle to it. And from what I can tell, and from my research, it has a 5 to 6 year cycle, which is well and good. And then Nvidia, they produce chips. And their chips are used for artificial intelligence. And hopefully I'm not telling anybody anything new. Like, you know about Nvidia, but like this is from my understanding and my context. So they're into physical chips. And even things like TensorFlow and like other languages, they work well with Nvidia. And basically right now, with artificial intelligence, you have to use Nvidia chips or it's not going to work as well. So that means they have a good moat and I've been hearing about 5 to 6 years. However, you never know like what up and comer is going to happen, if people are just still hyped and they're trying to pump out these articles. And like you don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. But I am tending to believe that Nvidia has 5 to 6 more years of having their intellectual property, and nobody's going to be able to catch up for next 5 to 6 years. So that's what I'm going off for my belief. So the next Bitcoin halving, the next time, and after that, the next time Nvidia has a 200-day moving average thing, I'll probably offload a bunch of Nvidia and just get into more broad tech, because for the most part, I don't believe that I have more knowledge or alpha than the average person. So ETFs, like the index funds, you don't get the most profit, but you don't get the least either. So there's that. But if we're talking about like how I specifically evaluated Yieldmax, and we'll pretend for a second it wasn't just me going into the table and saying like Nvidia has a 70.41% distribution and MSTY has 105.55% distribution, so obviously I'm going to put in money into MSTY. We'll pretend for a second that it wasn't as simple as that, because I actually did do just a little bit more research into it. One of the main things I did was I actually looked in, this is Yahoo Finance, by the way. Anyways, this is Yahoo Finance on the historical data page. And what I was interested in was like on the day before X date, was there a time between this dividend and this dividend where it was above this price? And so you can see this is for Nvidia. I should probably put this down. Okay, so this is for Nvidia. So like in May, if I bought it on the declaration date, it would only be a few days for it to recover. And then again, it's like this one, and it wasn't every time, right? Well, I guess it did for this time too. So like if you bought it at $30.49, you could have sold it for $31.77 between this dividend and this dividend. And for me, seeing it over and over and over for months and months and months, that I could buy it on declaration date and I could sell it not the day after. Like, I'm not interested in buying it for $28.95 and selling it for $27.93, but it's nice to know that if I bought it, is this I think this is the close. Well, that's the low. If I bought it at like even the high, but like somewhere between the opening price and the high price for the day, like, could you beat $30? And at some point here, we're going to get into that dip. Yeah, this is August. So that's probably not like the best. But like $28.93. Like, could you get more than $28.93, which was the high for the day? Like, you got very unlucky and you just bought it at the top. Well, like, yeah, this was $29.41. Like, you could have made a profit 3 days later. And I'm just not interested in like, well, I bought it at $28.93, so I'm just gonna sell it the next day for $28.87. Like, no, that's or $28.15 or whatever it is. Like, I'm not going to sell at a loss. I'll just keep it. But I did like that Nvidia and MSTY have the ability, through historical context of, they recover between the dividends, and they show that when the underlying is doing well, they can grow. And now that, I mean, they are going to go down when the entire stock market goes down. I can't blame them if the entire stock market goes down. But now we're seeing like, how do they recover? And, are they getting capped? Like, can we make it back up again? And that's why the call spreads that are coming are going to be so important for these type of funds. But for me, it was just, I believe that Bitcoin's going to be more sticky than Nvidia in the long run. And that doesn't mean that I'm not going to have Nvidia. They're on different groups. But if I had to choose one, I'm going to go with Bitcoin. I've known about Bitcoin for a really long time. I actually, my first encounter with it was, I was working for American Express. We had a town hall, like an all hands meeting for the all employees, and someone high up said, "Hey, Bitcoin's going to be the next big thing." And did I do anything about that? No, I didn't. They weren't paying me enough, and I was about to start grad school, and I didn't know how to convert Bitcoin back into money. So I didn't do it back then, and I can't even regret it too much, because I probably would have kept it in one of those sites that I bought it from, and they would have gone out of business, and I would have lost all my money. And now I would be sitting here and going like, I could have had millions of dollars if I had just not been lazy and put on a hard drive. Or, I moved and my hard drive fell out the car window and, whatever. Like, it's fine. But from what I know, and from what I've observed, Bitcoin is going to be around. As it gets bigger, it might get less volatile. You might have less like dramatic swings in one direction, but we still have, or in either direction, it's still going to be a while. So that's my thought. I'm sorry if that we're not going over, the company's finance spreadsheets or whatever. I didn't, to me, that's not as important as understanding like, what does it do? What industry is it in? Where does it fit, like, in the grand scheme of things? I do like MicroStrategies now that I've heard about it, because yeah, sure, they are a Bitcoin play, but they are also a legitimate business that does things that are not Bitcoin. So I do like MSTY the best out of all of the Bitcoin available funds at Yieldmax. And Nvidia was like, well, you can't put 100% into Bitcoin. That would be silly. You need to diversify just a little bit. So I'm pretty happy with these. I'm going to continue to buy Bitcoin in the future. And yeah, that was. Let me know what your opinion is. Would you choose Nvidia or Bitcoin or MSTY? And like and subscribe, and have a good night. Bye.